Welcome to It Takes a Family, a podcast that helps take parenting from desperation to hope. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly, and today I'm with...
Co-host Andy.
Man, Andy, you get to be on both sides.
I know. This is fun.
Well, Andy is our campus pastor here at Eagle Ranch, but today he's actually going to be sharing a little bit about his personal story, specifically as it relates to the importance of community.
Yep.
Okay, so once a week, we're going to highlight experts and other parents like you who have been in the trenches of parenting, bringing hard lessons learned and insights on how to navigate even the most difficult of family circumstances.
And I'm like in the other parents like you category. Let's just be
Let's
very
be
clear.
clear here.
No
Okay.
experts. We're in the other parents category for sure.
Okay, duly noted.
Yes, thank you.
Andy. So in today's episode, we're discussing the importance of community and how community impacts your story, how it impacts your parenting.
Yeah.
So welcome, Andy.
Thank
you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for being willing to share personally about some of these things.
I'm excited.
I'm going to start out with our startup question, which is
Yep.
tell us about the family you grew up in and tell us about the family that you lead or co-lead today.
Yeah. So I grew up in a big family and I lead a big family. So lots of people in the family. As a matter of fact, when we all gather, there's like 38 of us. When all my sisters and all of their children. So big family. But there was 5 of us. I have 4 sisters. I'm smack middle in the 4 sisters.
I've met your sisters.
Yeah,
They're fun.
It's fun. And we grew up in a wonderful, loving home. And even as we talk about community, as we get into this more, like part of our experience was we grew up in a very stable home and in a very stable community.
Okay.
So we went to the same church and we're very involved. That was sort of the center of our life for my whole childhood.
Okay.
And so that was a big part of who we were. But I mean, really as wonderful a family experience as you can ask for. That we had a great life, and I know now that that's not how everybody else lives. That's not the experience that people have.
Yeah, I'm trying not to have the bitterness in me just kind of come out
now. I really feel like it's God's grace just in my life. Like I really, when I talk about it, sometimes people do kind of look at me like, you little punk. And like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
So now we're going to come back to all that. But
Yeah.
tell me about your family today that you're co-leading.
So Emily and I have 6 children.
Yes, you do.
15 down to 6. We have 4 biological children. And then 2, we have twins that we adopted out of the foster care system.
That's awesome.
In 2023. So, I mean,
I think it's about time for another one.
It is not, Kelly. It is not time for another one. So, it's busy. Our home is full of life.
Yes,
and
it is.
vim and vigor. And but I really feel like the Lord has blessed us so richly. We live here at Eagle Ranch, and if you've ever been to Eagle Ranch, like 500 acres. And so we've got, I think...
You're like Mr. Community, basically.
I don't know. Again, other parents category, not the experts. But we do live in community, and that's been a huge blessing to us.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to kind of take a little bit of a sidestep.
Yeah.
I know there was a time, though, in your life where you and Emily were not experiencing community.
Yeah, sure.
And so, like, kind of show us the black and white of that. What did that look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, you think about this experience of me growing up. I've got these 4 sisters. We got this great family. We go to this great church. And it really was a good church. And so I had all these relationships that were deep. I have folks now that are my parents' age that still I see and I've known my whole life. My best friend growing up, I'm still in a relationship with him. We used to joke like, I met you when your mom brought you home from the hospital, right? I'm a little bit older than him, so I've known him since the day he was born. I think his mom told my mom she was pregnant with him, like as my mom gave birth to me. So I mean, it's like that kind of relationship, and so just this deep community experience. I went to University of Georgia with my high school buddies and other people, and so had this great experience. Emily and I were high school sweethearts. she had grown up in the same kind of community or area as I did. We went to high school together. So we kind of have all these people in common. We just have this really nice life. We lived in Gainesville, Georgia for 3 years right out of college. I was a youth pastor. She was a social work major. Like we had sort of life going. And I had a friend call me and he said, Andy, I have a plan for your life. And it involves you moving to Boca Raton, Florida.
Was this Jesus calling?
No, it was David.
Oh, okay.
And I remember saying, that's ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, we've got a nice life, but we
So
were
you were
kind of,
never hungering to like try something else or get out
well,
there?
I mean, maybe
or-
a little bit.
Okay.
But I mean, I went. So I guess I was hungering at some level.
Yeah.
But I feel like even at some level, we made a practical decision. Well, it's this great church and there'll be lots to learn. And so we moved to Boca Raton, Florida, which is in South Florida, 600 miles from everything that we had known. We had just had a baby. So we have a 7-month-old baby and the two of us. And we were kind of like, well, what now? And this guy that invited me, we were friends, but it's not like we were like close friends. I knew him. He knew me. He knew like my reputation in youth ministry. And so like we hung out some with them. We joined the small group. But really that first year to year and a half was a really challenging season for us. Because here we are, we're living in this new place. We don't know anybody. We don't have that depth of community that we'd hoped for.
Did it catch you by? Were you surprised by that, or were you kind of thinking, well, that's normal? I'm expecting that.
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like at some level we could have predicted it, but it felt worse than I thought it would feel. Does that make sense? Where I thought, oh yeah, that'll be hard, but we'll make some friends. And it was hard, and we longed for what we had at home. And we were like, wow, we need this. And the shift came when a guy that was on staff at the church, he was my parents' age, but he was one of the pastors on staff, and we would go to lunch with a group regularly. He said, hey, the house across the street is for rent. Do you and Emily want to rent it? And we kind of talked about it. We were like, yeah, I think we'll do that. That'd be really fun. And that began this sort of transformation where their names were Dan and Debbie. Dan and Debbie kind of took us in as like their own. And it was like, oh, like this can be our home. And what happened over that time then was that we began to build more friendships. We began to sort of dig into this community, enjoy so much that was there, to the point that when we left after 5 years, we were like, well, we really like this. Like, we like these people. We have friends and we have things. And so it was really...
So in the big scheme, I mean, 5 years isn't a long time.
Right.
And you felt like during that time you built a pretty
Yeah.
deep community. So I want to get practical for a minute because I do think your story is like the exception, not the
Totally.
norm. I don't
Totally.
mean that, bad. But can you like maybe talk about like just practical things people can do to start building that community? And maybe it's even just to start being even aware, like, I want that.
Right.
So tell me, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's
During those 5 years, like what did those kind of steps, intentional steps look like?
Yeah. I would say this. There's a cultural sort of belief that would say you need to blaze your own trail. Like you need to be independent. You need to be fiercely independent. Get what you can.
Don't need anybody.
You don't need anybody. You go do you. And I think that is just an absolute lie. And I think if we live that, we can go to church. You can be in a small group. You can be involved in a club. You can play on a men's league basketball team, and you can have no real community. You can be in relationship with people and lack sort of depth of community because I think as we talk about this, like what we're talking about is, do you have people that support you, that know you at the deepest part of kind of who you are, that you can share when things are bad or when they're good, or do you have those types of people? And so that does take time. So that's part of it is realizing you don't make a 20-year friend in a year. It takes 20 years, right?
So how do you keep that from being discouraging?
Well, I mean, I think some of it is you know and you understand, like, this is what it's going to take, and so you step towards that. But there are some simple things to do. I mean, our advantage was we were involved in a church. I was on staff of that church, but we were there. And so we went to lots of church activities. We joined a small group. That was not an expectation of the job that I had, but just something we did, that we were involved in a group of other like-minded adults that we spent time with regularly. So we started to kind of step towards some of these practices that said, we're like, if we're going to survive here in Boca Raton, Florida, we need friends. We need people that we can be around. Yeah. And that was an important. Emily went to the newborn moms class and nurturing your newborn. She went to nurture your newborns regularly and made friends and went to the park with ladies and like.
So, well, and I just want to say, like, you are a very extroverted person.
I am.
And doing those things are probably really easy for you.
Yeah.
Is Emily extroverted?
No, she's not.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's another just hurdle. Like, I don't know. My heart just goes out because I think loneliness is an epidemic.
Yes.
And we have all these kind of false, really shallow friendships with like Facebook and Instagram. And I'm not saying there's not a place for them, but it's like, I mean, what you're saying could sound really foreign, especially maybe like if you don't go to church. Like, I don't go to church.
Right.
Where do I find this deep community that you're talking about?
Well, but even, I mean, so if we're talking to parents, it'd be different if you're a single person. There are some ways there too, but if we're, or a single person without children, if we're talking about parents, that like part of what it is like, well, you have these kids, what are their interests? And so how do you even just build community? If you don't go to a church, then how do you build community around their interests, right? How do you build it with those people? So like in those early years with Emily, she was meeting these people at this like young moms kind of gathering. And then, hey, do you want to go to the park? Yeah, let's go to the park. And like, this is something that my kids like to do. And so why don't we both go to the park? And I've seen it happen with baseball teams and basketball teams and this
so
club.
Above and beyond the actual, whatever the activity is, like intentionally carving out some.
We're all going, if you've got kids, you're going to all the things. And so at the school, at the ball field, wherever it might be, like how do you kind of engage and just have an eye towards a deeper relationship within that thing? And be okay with, I don't really like that guy, but they're pretty cool. Like, why don't we hang with them? Because we've had some people that, let's not invite them over for dinner again. Sorry if you only ever got one invite.
I think that was mean.
But you know how that is, like, right? And you just have people that you connect with, and as you do that, you build deeper friendships. And so
I will say one thing I really admire about you and Emily is your hospitality. I do feel like your door's always open. You're always being intentional about inviting friends over.
Thank you.
I know you're in a season with some of your older kids, like the whole navigating the phone thing.
Yeah, sure.
And finding other parents who are like, I don't really like what's going on with the phone thing either.
Yeah.
And so I know y'all have like campouts and I mean, even the adults, like this is a no phone camp out for every. So, I mean, I love the creativity
Thank you.
that you bring. And I'm going to let you talk in a minute.
Yeah, sure. No, by all means. This is about you, Kelly.
Well, no, it is, but it's about you. Because I want you to talk about, go ahead. Just talk about some of those, again, just tangible things like that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are in this stage of parenting trying to say, hey, well, maybe it's been true of us. Like our doors are open, and particularly with our kids, like we're okay if you want to invite your friends here. Like, because part of us wants to create an experience where our kids feel like they have that same thing that we had growing up. They have that depth of community and friends and parents that they trust. And so opening our doors and having people in our home is really advantageous to us. Yes, you do have to like vacuum and you have to get over like certain things of like, they're going to know that we're messy. Like that's okay. That's better. It's better that somebody knows that you don't clean your bathroom every day than to have the most sparkly bathroom, but nobody ever comes to it. And so, we're like, come on. We want to build that same thing for our children. We want to create this. So yes, we have done little campouts and we've had people to the house, and we have done some father-son events with my son and tried to build that community with other dads and
yeah.
sort of create these places where, and we've been involved in church, and that's been an important part of what we've done with our kids is said, hey, we're gonna go, and there's some Sundays we don't want to go, and we still go because we think that's a valuable place to build community.
And I think too, just people listening that have children and families, I think our society is so caught up in, it's just like go, 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 go. And I watch you with 6 kids and kids with 6 different interests, but I do see you putting boundaries up to keep your community healthy, meaning you're not going to sign your kids up for something where they're doing practices or games on Sundays.
Yeah, sure.
Or, can you speak a little bit about how maybe you're having to sort of fight against some of the world's ideas or that's working against families who are trying to build this healthy community?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things John Cunnings said when he was talking about balance and nurture and structure is that you identify your values as a person, and then you kind of train towards those values as it relates to parenting. John's super smart. Thankful for him. So
he's an expert.
He is an expert. If our value is community, then when we get to a point where we have to make a decision about, let's say, a travel sport or something like that, we might say, hey, we're not going to participate in that thing because it will keep us from our value of community on a Sunday morning at church. And so, yeah, we've had to make some of those decisions. There's a part of me right now that feels like, no, we're doing a lot of driving around.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're living our value of community as well.
Do y'all revisit those from time to time? Like, are you getting to a point where it's like, man, Emily and I need to sit down again and recalibrate? Or
Emily said at some point not that long ago, like, we're smarter than this. Like, this is our schedule, and we are in charge of it. It's not in charge of us. And so, yeah, we do have to do that sometimes. And I don't know that we're doing that perfectly in this season of our lives. It feels like we're running wild at times. And we have built a foundation of that. And so it's not as if, all these friends, I say all these friends, we have tons of friends and we're very, very popular. No, I like some of the relationships that we built, like, now last, and we're all in this season together. Yeah. And
it's like, I'll see you on the next.
Yeah, your friends
on
at
the next
basketball
season.
game because you're like, all right, yeah, you're sitting here too. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think there is seasons to it. So like you just kind of know your,
yeah. You know your season. You know that we're in this, and this is something we're experiencing, and this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And so enjoy this moment, because and everybody I talk to who is ahead of me in parenting is like, oh, you're gonna miss it one day, and they all say it, and I'm like, maybe, yeah, I guess.
If you say so.
For sure.
Yeah, you will. You most definitely will. So, can you maybe give us some thoughts for those listening, for those of us that either want to start building community or pitfalls?
Yeah. I think there are places of, maybe I would say, thick and thin community. I'm stealing that term. One of my favorite authors, a guy named James K.A. Smith, he wrote a book called You Are What You Love.
Okay.
It's really good. It's like one of the books that I recommend, as Andy Nelson recommended. And he just talks about, like, what we do and what we practice is ultimately kind of what we become. Mm-hmm. What we love and what we spend time on is ultimately what sort of begins to form us. And so there are some, like, let's say, thin community practices where you might go like, yeah, like, this is good, but it's not really changing kind of who I am, or it's not really, there's not this deep depth to it. I have a friend, and he was a good friend, but we would go play golf, and we'd come back, and then we would go, like, how was it? Like, yeah, it was great. Like, so how's their family doing? I was like, I don't know. She's like, yeah, but like the kids, how are the kids? And I was like, I guess they're probably good. She's like, what did you talk about? I'm like, well, I mean, he hit a 7-iron on 12. You should have seen it. It was beautiful. And and she's like, she didn't talk about the kids at all. Like, no, we played golf. Like, so so yes, you can build community, but if there's not a depth, you're playing golf. And again, he was a good friend, and we had other places that we had that. But there are other places where I think around a meal, there's just something. I think there's something really beautiful and valuable when you eat a meal with somebody or a group of somebody's, and you have good conversation, and the food is yummy. And there's like nothing in my life I like more than a really large table filled with people that I like. I mean, I can sit there for 3 hours and not be bored. Some of that's my personality, but I do think that's maybe one of those practices where, there's like something rich to sitting and eating and talking. I think there's something rich to Christian community and experience around worship and around God. Like, so these are values, but these are things that I think those are the deeper community building versus we played golf and it was fun. And I like golf. I'm going to play it, like I'm going to do that still, but one builds deeper community than the other, maybe.
Yeah. Is there anything I've forgotten to ask you today that you would like me to ask you about?
Well, I mean, I think the only other kind of element to share a little bit that's true of our story. So Emily and I began to foster in 2017. And, I had worked for churches. I had been in kind of a role that put me as the helper. And I like to be the helper. Emily likes to be the helper. We there's something in our
Thank
story.
God for helpers.
You can break down our story and do some genogram work and see that we both like to be the helper. And so we like to be in the position where we are helping other people. And we took a sibling set of 3, and we just couldn't be the helper in the same way. And
you were the needing helping people.
we were the needing help people. And we had a group from our church who rallied around us, and we had a little care team through Promise 686, and they came and they brought us a meal once a week, and they brought us diapers, and they cared for us really well. And so I think there was this beauty to recognizing we're in a different stage in which we need help, and we need people around us, and we don't have it. And we had to admit
that's hard to be in when you're used to being the one pouring out.
Yes. And so we had to admit, like, we need people around us to come alongside and to help us and to provide meals. And so I think that good community walks with you in the moments that are good, and they walk with you in the moments that are hard. And I've seen that for other people. I've seen that in my own life, that really, part of where we need community is when it's hard. And when we have our deepest struggle, if we have people who we can call, who we can rely on to come to care for us, it makes all the difference in the world. And we had a gift in that, and people rallied around us, and we're forever thankful for that. We threw a party at the end on our adoption day, and I got overwhelmed, like thanking these people. I like looked out at all these people who had been a part of that journey with us, and it was just it was overwhelming because here these people came and stepped in, and it's in a season that we needed them.
And there'll be other seasons where you're back to pouring out into others. So I think it's
I'm good. Yeah,
it is pretty cool. Like once you kind of get okay with people pouring into you, it's like, well, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Why have I been helping other people? I'm just.
Hey, I'm trying to remember who was our expert on this topic. Who?
Stephanie Shackelford. Yes,
Stephanie Shackelford.
Dr. Shackelford.
Yes. Yeah, she had some great just research on this topic, and also some just really practical tools for us.
I have like remembered, like as we've talked, we've continued to record these. Like one of the statements she made is like the number one indicator of mental health in young people is church attendance, which was wild to me. It was something like that. If that's wrong, go back and listen and tell me I'm wrong. I'm in a show note or something.
Yeah.
But like that community and being involved in something like that has this profound impact on the mental health of young people. I think it's old people too.
I think you're right. So, well, I want to thank everyone who tuned in today. Yeah. We hope that this episode was encouraging to you and gave you some valuable insights that you can use. Tune in next week for stories from parents like you to hear their hard lessons learned and insights they wish they would have knew going through their parenting as well. Let us know if you enjoyed the episode by leaving us a review on Apple or Spotify. It helps other parents find the show, and tell other parents about this too, because it is pretty awesome.
It's pretty great.
What's happening.
We're really great.
So feel free to connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. Disagree with us by all means, and let us know what topics and questions you want to listen to. Thanks again for listening, and have a great week.
Great week.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Kelly.